is a good one for us to investigate, still on the heels of this entire political fallout that resulted from Elisa Stefanki basically deposing these folks on Capitol Hill, McGill and Claudine Gay from Harvard and UPenn and MIT. So all of that committee was the most watched on YouTube for the Congress to be doing this entire hearing on the heads of all these colleges as it related to the rising anti-Semitism and the environment and the culture that was really calling for an environment that was putting Jewish students at risk, fear for their lives, their safety. These are big issues for anybody. So obviously it resulted in Claudine Gay being not forced to resign. Somebody must have forced her to resign. But then in her entire op-ed, an article that she wrote, I guess, going out the door to keep her $900,000 a year job, still affiliated with the university, but no longer the head of the university, basically saying that, racism and calls or threats against her, caused her to step down. Ridiculous. So, which is exactly what all these Jewish students and folks were so worried about, was all these calls of, anti-Semitism and from the river to the sea, and this rise of pro-Palestinian speech that was really calling for the genocide of Jews and the Jewish state. Clearly and obviously, they're going to be concerned and scared. So I pulled down this article from the Harvard Crimson, which is from Harvard, and I guess an op-ed by a gal, Jasmine Wynn, an opinion writer. Basically, and it goes, if you pull it up, Bill Ackman and the crusade against free speech. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's look at it. All right, so allow me to take you through this article. So let's read it together. So she goes on to say, over the past few months, Harvard has routinely made national headlines, often alongside one name, Bill Ackman, 1988. So Bill Ackman, very large benefactor to Harvard University, Jewish man, if I would have to guess, graduated in 1988. The billionaire has captured the public imagination since October 10th, when he fired off the beginning of an inflammatory series of ex-posts criticizing Harvard's handling of anti-Semitism. Ackman's post, made undoubtedly in bad faith. Now, listen, if you're somebody who went to Harvard or you're a Harvard student, how do you know what was going on in his head? Made undoubtedly in bad faith. You don't know what was going on in his head, that he made these posts in bad faith. So automatically, from a critical perspective, this person already is triggered in writing. Yes, it is an opinion piece, but to make a statement like that, you don't know. It's just obnoxious. Fueled already violent retaliation faced by pro-Palestinian student activists. These students who faced doxing and harassment were largely black and brown. That's not okay. If they were doxed and harassed, nobody should be doxed and harassed, and nobody should feel like there's an environment that makes them feel unsafe. Whether it's a direct call of action of speech for somebody to be harmed, or an environment where people are in a space where all of a sudden you can't say what you want to say. You have a right to your opinion, but we don't want people to be hurt and whatnot. But unfortunately, free speech carries with it, fortunately, hearing things that are uncomfortable, as long as it's not a call to action to hurt somebody or to harm them. Ackman has repeatedly abused his influence to intimidate those with significantly less power. No, there's a billionaire who says, I have a lot of money that I donate to Harvard University, and as long as you have somebody in the ranks that is not protecting people vis-a-vis Jewish students and saying, hey, listen, these calls of annihilating the Jewish state and making Jewish kids there feel uncomfortable and flee for their safety because of these rising pro-Palestinian tropes from the river to the sea, well, obviously that's a problem, as it would be against a transgender, a non-binary, a black person, all of those things that you constantly rally against. You're saying, well, we need safe spaces to protect these people, except for Jewish kids, right? I mean, come on, ridiculous. Let's just be, again, like I always say, be consistent. Be consistent across the board. Let me see the next one. Go ahead. At the end of my freshman year of high school, school started a town hall in light of the murder of George Floyd. During this town hall, I, along with many other students of color, shared my experience with the racism that pervaded our campus. In the hopes of better protecting students like myself, several teachers and administrators then crafted a document of anti-racist proposals, which a far-right blog later leaked. Okay, the ensuing months thrust our school into the national spotlight, although not to the same extent as Harvard today. And there's a whole series of people, I guess, that had to resign as a result. Not exactly sure why. She goes on to say, it's worth noting that quite a few parents at my high school supported this attack. That year, I watched my wealthier classmates were emboldened by their parents' behavior. My peers mocked recently implemented DEI measures as wokeism, despite learning of the importance of their implementation in our community through stories shared on the viral Black Adult Instagram account and a mandatory assembly that fall. Let's see the next one. The past several years have witnessed a national attack on diversity, equity, inclusion efforts, namely education surrounding race and LGBTQ identity. I guess she started it off with B for black, I guess. I don't know. I don't even know why you got to get, there's gay and lesbian. That's a sexual preference that they're just like anybody else. I don't even know why you're getting, trans and queer in there. That is something totally different. That again, that falls into mentality, how you see yourself, how you see the world, your identity. Gay and lesbian is not an identity. And black is not an identity either. Yeah, of course, folks of color have had, their rise and having to deal in their rise and ascension to equality in our world, have to face a lot of difficulties. But come on now, we're at the greatest of our time in terms of accepting people and races and ethnicities. Goodness gracious. So here she goes on to say, in Florida, Governor DeSantis passed the infamous Don't Say Gay bill, the infamous. And no, it's not infamous. It's not even the Don't Say Gay bill. Somebody coined it that way. They're really just saying we don't want to teach sexually explicit topics and subjects to young children. Actually ban the discussion of LGBTQ plus identity in classrooms. Well, because we shouldn't be talking about these sexual things with our children. I will talk about that with my kids, right? Similarly, many states have recently passed laws, regulations criminalizing the teaching of critical race theory. Is that true? I don't know. Criminalizing it? I'm not sure. The broader anti-diversity, equity, and inclusion campaign being championed by the right is one that seeks to silence and erase large portions of the American population and history. What do you silence and erase? It attempts to deny the fact that oppression is systemic. Yes, there is oppression systemically. I agree. Right in Harvard University, when you don't allow Asian students who have like a 4.5 average to get in because you're bringing in other people from lack of meritocracy and abilities into the school for the purposes of diversity. So yeah, there is a systemic oppression going on at Harvard when you keep out Asian students and other people that may have got in there because you want to get in people that check all these crazy boxes. Bi or gay. I don't understand why this matters. Bi, gay, non-binary, transgender. What does it have to do with a student that's able to do the work at Harvard? You're actually setting them up to fail if they don't have the abilities and the intelligence to do the work at the Harvard level. It's no coincidence that Ackman is a vocal proponent of this anti-DEI campaign. His attack against gay was motivated by a reluctance towards change. What? Most deplorably weaponized anti-Semitism as a smokescreen to advance a political agenda. A move that undoubtedly undermined efforts to combat true anti-Semitism on college campuses. No, this is a guy who's donating big money to Harvard, who's saying, listen, use the same degree of strength in your words to flush out people that are being anti-Semitic or creating a circumstance, situation, environment that's dangerous to those students, just like you would do for non-binary or transgender or somebody that didn't get their pronouns used properly. For Ackman and the right, gay's departure represents a triumphant victory in a far greater war, the nationwide crusade against free speech, especially when it attempts to shine light on America's history of oppression. Really, was that his goal? That the victory was in that Harvard, who is largely liberal, I want to see all the free speech proponents that came out. Hey, listen, when Young America Foundation's there, or a conservative right-leaning group wants to speak there, and there are people that are saying, hey, we don't want Milo Yiannopoulos to come. You remember Milo Yiannopoulos? Or, we don't want these far-right or religious conservative groups speaking on the campus because, it's not a safe space. It's making students feel unsafe and dangerous. Where are all these people then about free speech? You didn't see these people like this author, I'm sure, coming out and championing, hey, free speech. We don't like these conservative, these right-wing perspectives, but they're entitled to their free speech. Was she out there doing that? I doubt it. I doubt it. Keep going. Finally, I guess this is the crescendo here. Finally, to Bill Ackman, my message is simple. Do better. Your reactionary words have threatened the livelihoods of countless students and endangered the prospect of open and constructive discourse on campus. I can't even believe I'm reading this. I can't believe it. Where is all of this energy? Where is all this writing to protect the freedom of speech and perspectives of right-leaning conservative students? You should use that same strength in all this writing to protect their right of free speech. I don't see that, but okay, so now you're going to come out and you're going to be the proponent for free speech. Wow, this hypocrisy is outstandingly crazy. In my conversation with those across the department and my high school community, there has been a shared feeling of profound disgust and anger for your actions. Going forward, I hope the public will remain vigilant in their critiques of the crusade against higher education. At this moment, the future depends on it. Yeah, we really do have a problem with higher education. You are right. The problem is that we're not representing all views on this campus and teaching people how to think. It's largely a liberal, left-leaning agenda to indoctrinate people into thought, this left-leaning thought, and a complete expulsion of any views of conservative or religious belief of the right, or traditionally of the right. So you do better, and you be more consistent in free speech for everybody, just so long as it doesn't call for direct harm and action against any group of people.